Right in front of your face are my 2020 NFL Fantasy Football Playoff Rankings, where I have two sets here. I have one for people that actually pick each week. They repick, and so in week 1, you'll only pick the wildcard game players, and then in week 2, you'll reset and pick whoever you want. And then I have the list over here, which encompasses the whole entire fantasy football playoff overview. So if you are in like NFL.com, where you can pick a player on a bye week and that player will get double points in round 2 because you picked them in round 1, then you're going to want to go off of this list right here. Or if you pick once at the beginning and you don't ever make any changes, and you have to have a strategy involved to say, do I pick a Lamar Jackson even though he's on a bye in week 1 or in round 1 because I think he'll play more games. So make sure you know which list you need to go off. And how do you determine, they're gonna vary, because let's say you had, and I have Drew Brees and the Saints going all the way to the Super Bowl, but let's say you had Brees and the Saints losing round 1. In a league where you could reset every single week and you're only picking wild card players, you might pick Drew Brees number 1 even if you think he'll lose, because he'll score the most points in that given week, and it doesn't affect you because you go into round 2 getting to reset everything. Make sure you understand the rules for your contest and you pick accordingly. But for me, what I do is I sit down and I say, who is going to win the Super Bowl, or what 2 teams are going to go to the Super Bowl? And after you determine that and you figure out that it's going to be, for me, it's the Ravens versus the Saints, both teams are loaded with elite fantasy football players. So you'll find my roster's loaded with players from both sides of those teams. And that's going to be it. I'm not going to pick anybody else. I'm going to bank on my prediction that both those teams will make it. And if you have the Kansas City Chiefs going, then you're going to want Mahomes, you're going to want Tyreek Hill, you're going to want Kelsey. You will clean up if the Chiefs win it all, especially if you're in like one of those leagues like on NFL.com where you get those multipliers every round. You keep those players active in your lineup and you don't swap anybody out. So Lamar and Drew Brees, 1 and 2 for me, because I have them facing each other in the Super Bowl. I'd rank Lamar higher because I think he could score more points and win that game in the Super Bowl, so thus he will score more points in the final game than Brees. I'm ranking Lamar number 1. If things don't go as planned, I do think the Chiefs could be a team that could win it all. Russell Wilson in Seattle, I think, could score a lot of points. Tom Brady's always capable in the playoffs, so don't count him out. And over here, I think Drew Brees and Russell Wilson will lead the wild card fantasy QBs in scoring, but Watson's capable of doing well. Wentz is capable of doing well. And before you go, Smitty, why the hell do you have Wentz down at number 7? He could go all the way. Well, then you're predicting the Eagles to go further than me, and that's okay. But then adjust your rankings accordingly. I'm predicting the Ravens to face off against the Saints, so my rankings are going to look different than yours. Don't just go blindly off someone's rankings if you don't believe the core of what they're basing all those rankings off of who's going to go further in the playoffs. Do what you think is right. I think Lamar and the Saints are going to play and face off against each other, but it could be the 49ers. It's why we play the game. Do you? Okay, I've got the wild card running back rankings here and the full season picture here. Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, as I mentioned, because the Ravens are going to face the Saints. In my opinion, these are the top 2 running backs. But then if things don't go as planned, I envision, or even if they do go as planned, Aaron Jones and Henry really scoring a bunch of points for the games they're going to play. Mostert, Williams, Dalvin Cook, he's hurt, so it's tough to rank him any higher than this, but I think you could. And you can see the rest. So for the wild card games, it's because it's based on 1 week, and we're anticipating that those of you going off of this can reset their rankings no matter what, or you will have to reset them no matter what heading into the second round. Kamara, Henry, Cook, because Cook is capable of scoring big in that one game. And you're taking out the Ravens, you're taking out the Packers, you're taking out the 49ers, and you're taking out the Chiefs. So the running back pool is a lot thinner. I will say Miles Sanders, looking at this, move Miles Sanders up to number 4. I don't know why I have him so low here. My cane must have fell down onto the keyboard. Put Miles Sanders at number 4 because this is based off 1 week. Miles Sanders, I apologize. And I hung the cane. Look, the pip cane now has its own hook. Now on to the wide receivers. Same thing. Mike Thomas, Hollywood Brown, my top 2 wide receivers, Tyreek Hill third, because if things don't go as planned, I do see the Chiefs being the one team that could throw my bracket off. Devontae Adams could score a ton. Edelman could score a ton. As I mentioned and been beating a dead horse about, it really comes down to the two teams you think will make it all the way. But my three teams, I like to pick a third team, is the Chiefs. And that's why I have Hill. That's why I have Kelsey high. I have Mahomes high. I have the KC running backs high, because if things don't go as planned and I don't get to draft or pick or bid on, or however I'm doing my contest, that my next in line will be a Chief player. And for the wild card games, but you're taking out all the number 1 and 2 seeds, Mike Thomas, I have the Saints going all the way. So clearly all my Saint players in wild card weekend are going to dominate the rankings or be in the top 2. Even if he loses, I think if Edelman's healthy, he will play well. Hopkins, same thing. AJ Brown, even if the Titans lose, AJ Brown could dominate. These are my rankings for wild card weekend only. These are my rankings for the entire playoffs, even if you're picking a guy on a bye that sits out week 1. On to tight ends. I give you my tight ends. That didn't sound good. Here are the tight end rankings for the entire playoffs. Again, if you're considering picking a player on a bye, because you get multipliers. So Mark Andrews, the Ravens are playing the Saints in my opinion. So Cook number 2. And I like KC and San Francisco to make it to the Super Bowl if I'm wrong and Baltimore doesn't face New Orleans. So Kittle and Kelsey, you could rank them 3 or 4, 4 or 3. I don't care. Ertz, I like to score a lot, but I don't think the Eagles will get out of that wild card game, so that limits him a little bit. Goddard, put him number 6. Hollister, he's okay at 7. And then, of course, the Saints, I think, are going all the way. So Cook is a great wild card tight end. Defenses and kickers, get on over to sleeperu.com. The most recent article, you'll see it right on the homepage. Subscribe if you haven't. Tell your friends about the show. And content launches at midnight tonight. 2020 content is up. Get ready. The first bold prediction is lit, and it's all going to be live 1/1/2020. Get ready. Tell your friends. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. What's going on? I'm Smitty from sleeperu.com. Thanks for coming by and checking out the site. If you want your league mates to be like, how the hell did you know about that player? Then you want sleeperu.com. We're bold and ahead of the curve. One of, I think, the bigger breakout candidates for 2019 is Chris Godwin. I think you could be looking at a string of games where Godwin's actually leaned on as the team's wide receiver 1. I've been dropping bold predictions for over 16 years on CBS Sports Radio and NBC Sports Radio. Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones were on my top 10 bold predictions last year. The year before that, Pat Mahomes was number 1. Alvin Kamara the year before that. The list goes on and on, all the way back to Arian Foster.
Arian Foster, he's a guy we've been recommending people reach for in the 4th and 5th round in most drafts. I see nothing but big things for this guy, and he's my monster breakout prediction for 2010.
Jimmy Graham, Antonio Brown. The site's loaded with rankings, redraft, rookie, dynasty, super rookie rankings, which have the rookies and sophomores only. Those are super popular on the site. The rankings are drag and drop, and you can redline them out when a player's been drafted. Trade calculators, mock draft simulators, all redraft, dynasty, and rookie capable. You can even add keepers into the draft simulator. A draft board that you can follow along with your draft and redline players out. Tons of articles, all bold. Dynasty, redraft content. We are hardcore dynasty, but everything I attack from a redraft and a dynasty angle, so you get the best of both worlds in your content. Revamp player pages, which are going to be off the hook in 2020. And one-on-one advice with me where we can correspond back and forth all year, so you pick up the right players, make the right trades, make the right starts. And the price points for the products are very simple. I've got 2 price points. All the content with one-on-one advice, all the content without the one-on-one advice. Very simple pricing. And I've added 15-minute phone calls you can buy a la carte, where I can dial you up and we can talk about whatever you want. Woo! I'm excited about that. It's a brand new feature. I hope you become a part of this family, because we really are a close-knit family here at sleeperu.com. Thank you for coming by and checking it all out. Let's tear it up in 2020. Let's go.